Hello, everyone. So we're going to be covering chapter 4. And let me share my slides. So chapter 4, we will be covering not technical writing, but engineering communication. Now, we're going over some tips for each, right? Because in engineering, there are 4, maybe 5 ways that we communicate as engineers. One is presentations. Another form of communication would be technical writing. That's 2. So presentation. Sorry, presentations. Technical writing, whether that be, report writing, whether that is lab report. When I say report writing, that is giving your boss a lab report or a test report, test procedures, um, even giving summaries over maybe a project or a design, sending monthly reports, status reports, things like that. Also, another form of communicating that we do as engineers is emails. Email is a form of communication. So, and it's important, like, sending out an email, technical email to your boss or to a direct report or to a colleague regarding a project that you're working on. So email is a way that we communicate as engineers. And then also, if you are one that develops drawings is a form of communicating. So you're communicating with the manufacturing plant, communicating with the machine shop on whatever design you come up with. So communication is very important, and I'll go over those again. We'll communicate through presentations. We'll communicate through technical writing, reports, emails, summaries, but I also include email as another form of communicating because emails aren't lumped into reports, right? So emails is another form of communication um, for drawings, um, communicate drawings such as, detailed drawings, assembly drawings, you communicate those with machine shops, manufacturing plants. And then I think the one that I was thinking about that I left off is potentially, phone conversations, communicating directly over the phone or maybe through chat, maybe with a customer or someone from sales. Um, but typically over the phone, you may be calling a vendor. But as engineers, we have to know how to communicate. And there's this stereotype when it comes to engineers that even a common joke that your book states that it says it's common. The common joke that most engineers cannot construct a grammatically correct sentence. We don't know how to talk. We only use one side of our brain, the technical side, where we are able to resolve problems or come up with solutions. But when it comes to communicating those ideas, we are unable to do so. But the best engineers, great engineers, are great at communicating. We can come up with the idea to develop and design and resolve, but we can also communicate those ideas so that other people can understand it, so that a machinist can develop it, build it. Um, and so those are ways that we communicate. When it comes to presentation, there are some things that I want to discuss with you, and it's coming straight out of your book. So please read the books. I know I have it in my other previous lectures that I had not explained that you should be haven't expounded that you should be reading these chapters, but you definitely should. And I've forgotten to stop sharing really quickly. I forgot to turn the captions on again. So go back to sharing my screen. Man, I knew I forgot something. Sorry about that. But so straight from chapter 4, some things that we want to go over. And this is straight out of your book, but the 5 W's and 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, how, right? Who's my audience? We talked about that from the lecture, chapter 3, from design process when it comes to presenting. I just know who my audience is. I have to understand who I am talking to. Verbiage, when interviews, and I didn't say that, but interviewing is also another form of communicating. You'll be doing interviews throughout your career. When it comes to promotions, when it comes to getting a job that you may want, as you have developed from an entry level position, interviewing, that'll be your fifth form of communicating. So going back over that process, because I know you're probably taking notes, probably not, but presentations, technical writing, reports, also emailing, which is a form of technical writing, drawings, and then interviewing, and then phone calls would be sort of lumped into the verbal communicating with people over the phone or face to face. But those are your forms of communication. But in communicating, some things you need to know is, who you're talking to, what age group, what demographic, prior knowledge about the topic, why this is important, who you're talking to, why it's important is because terminology you use, your verbiage. If you're communicating with your manager, they want you to use certain terminology that will indicate what you're talking about. In industry, even if you are doing a presentation for a capstone project, senior year capstone project as an engineer, understanding the audience. If you're talking to the person the customer who gave you that came to you and said, "Hey, I need you to resolve this issue that I have." You have to understand who you're talking to versus you're just talking to your professor, because your professor is going to be giving you feedback to help you get a grade, but this customer may be looking at you to determine whether or not they should bring you on for a job in the future. So understanding who you're talking to, because that's why that's important. And then, it goes through, and I won't go through all of these, but another important one, as you can see reading those, but how long should I talk? You have to have an understanding of how long you should talk. Being very aware of your presentation time, understanding that we all have a job to do. So you don't want to prolong anything, but you also want to be able to be efficient in how you deliver this message to them, or whatever it is that when I say message, I'm saying if it's about a design, or if it's about an R&D issue, or if it's about something that you are wanting to propose to make your product more cost efficient, whatever it is, understanding how long you have to present, because we all have other jobs to do, right? And you also don't want to over talk, because you may lose people. You don't want to talk too long, right? And this is a couple of things to keep the thing in mind is short, simple, strong, and sincere, right? I'm not going to go through that, but just some things to keep in mind when it comes to presenting, right? Technical writing. So It's a lot of hints when it comes to technical writing, right? Um, and I'm not going to read all of these, but because the slides, I didn't consider you to look over. But when it comes to technical writing, I have a template for writing lab reports, and it is in your template folder on Blackboard. So please go there and check it out and take a look at it to familiarize yourself with how I want you to write your lab reports. All right. So, but I'm not going to go through all of the hints when it comes to technical writing. But one thing you want to do is use spell check. Typically, your job, if you're working in industry, they will provide you with the letterhead that they will, that you will use for writing reports, test procedures. They'll give you that, they'll provide that, just like I have provided to you. But spell check is important, and if you're writing a report, you always want to write in past tense when it comes to writing lab reports. It's what you did. It's because it's in the past, and you never want to use I, because if you're working with a team, you would say we or the team. And then if it was just you, you could try your best not to use I. But if you have to use I in certain cases, use it. But in other cases, you could say what was accomplished here. The task that was set out to be accomplished was such and such. And the procedure that was used to conduct this experiment was as follows. But try not to use I. Those are some things to just keep in mind when it comes to uh, writing reports. But also when it comes to writing emails, it's the subject line is always important because your boss or your colleagues or whomever, they get tons of emails. So always keep in mind that when it comes to sending an email, you want to have a subject line that will let them know that this is important or it's something that they can get to later. All right, a subject line that would convey that, but yet not pass it along and not ever come back to it that they forget, So, and then again, when you're writing email, make sure you're checking, spell check. You don't want to be sending out an email and it conveys the wrong message because you didn't check your spelling or your grammar. And I'm not going to go over drawings because that's graphics. So your graphics instructor will let you know how to communicate on drawings and templates such as that. So I think that concludes chapter 4. All righty. Thank you for listening.